Hello everyone and welcome to Spoiler Warning, featuring myself, Tom Colohue. We have plenty of news to discuss today, primarily the fact that there are mass releases of WWE talent and backstage employees being discussed openly in reports between several different sources, House of Wrestling, PWInsider, and more. So that's going to be one of our main stories today. We're also talking about the reports of AEW's ticket sales not quite being 100% accurate, The Rock feeding rumours of a return, the status of Elias in the WWE, Roman Reigns' next title defence. Shrewd and regular viewers will already be aware of that one. AEW to the max and the schedule for their pay-per-views. Jade Cargill. We're going to talk a little bit more about the releases and who's currently nervous about being released. Cody Rhodes and his position for WrestleMania, as well as a bit more as regards WWE's position on releases, and of course where we are right now on YouTube. 5,000 subscribers has been hit, and I'm going to talk about the system that they use for shorts and for TikTok to help you to grow your own channels as well. So plenty to discuss on that one. There is a huge amount of comments coming in, so let me do a catch up. Firstly, thank you very much, Michael, for subscribing for a 31st month. I did not realize I'd been here that long. That is nearly 3 whole years. Thank you kindly for that. Spider-Boss says hello Tom, hello Spider-Boss, hello Bailey on YouTube side, hello Lucha, hello Brad Becker, hello Naz, hello Joe, hello Taylor, the little troll that we got. Anyone who hasn't seen what the troll was up to, it's fun, by all means roll back and enjoy, say hi and bye to the troll. Hello Zane, hello Ken, hello Sai, hello Ross, hello Joey, says, hey Tom, do you have any news on Jade Cargill? More on that shortly. Yes, there will be talk of it. Carnage says, hey Tom, hello Carnage. Hello David, hello Daniela. Hello Jane Stewart as well. Hello Mark, who says, I'm watching while doing stuff. Will pop in when I can. Appreciate that. That's certainly a very good way of making this happen. Dan says, good evening, Tom. Marcel says, hi, Tom, and chat. Welcome, everyone. Always appreciate when you say hi to the chat as well. Leon says, hi, Tom. Hope you're doing well. Sean says, Jade Cargill coming to WWE. Marcel says, 5k subscribers. Congratulations, party in the chat. Noob says, hello, Tom. How you doing? Doing well, thank you. Welcome, Noob. Daz says, big up, Tom. Hope you're well today. Doing very well today. Thank you, Daz. Appreciate you being here. Carnage says, congrats on 5k. Austin says, that will be awesome. Jade in WWE, Tom, Bianca versus Jade. Joey says, do you think WWE will do mass firings or will they let contracts expire? More on that shortly. That's going to be our top piece of news today. Trekopedia says, hi there, Tom. How are you today? Everyone, please do me a favour. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and share it out. If you're able to, please do remember to hit that thumbs up. We have 58 people here right now, and only the 22 likes, they do make a massive difference. Smurfy Toon says, hi, how are you? Welcome to Smurf. 23 Fresh says, will The Rock make a surprise appearance on Smackdown tonight? No. Mick says, hi, man. Hope everything is very good. It is indeed. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining us. Spider-Boss says, Fightful reported Jade Cargill is leaving AEW. Could that affect Mercedes' money going to AEW? Or one person going to a company will have no bearing on another person going to a company if the deal particularly has already been signed. Q43 says, hello Tom, according to Wrestling Observer News, Tegan Knox has creative plans. Do you know what they are? Nope. As far as I'm aware, she's been in creative hiatus for a while and that's why we haven't seen her. Tyler says, congrats Tom to 5k. Thank you, Tyler, appreciate that. It's great to see so many of you coming in to congratulate. I really do appreciate it. Stephen Harris says, congratulations as well. Zane is saying hi to myself and the whole chat. Spider-Boss says, I wonder why WWE is teased with Jey Uso and the Judgment Day. Jey Uso versus Dominic Mysterio is in the offing. I do, or at least I predicted, that we're going to see Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Jey Uso, sorry, this is caught up quite a bit, and Jey Uso against Judgment Day's 3 men as well in upcoming pay-per-views. So it's another way to get Jey Uso over. Devin says, hey Tom, any Mercedes money news? I'm not sure what news there could possibly be. Last I reported, she's going to be signing a new deal soon, but she's not cleared to do so. To wrestle, I should say. Bailey says, is Nick Khan's cost-benefit analysis still in play for Endeavour review of WWE talent? More on that shortly, but what I will say now is, yes it is. Smurfy says, 5k hype. Lucha in the Vince voice says, you're fired. Daniela says, smash a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tom absolutely deserves it. His work is truly undervalued by some. Appreciate that, Daniela. It's a very lovely thing to say. Steven said Jade Cargill is the fit for WWE. Eric says hi Tom, Colohue, and hi Noobster. Always nice to see you guys engaging with each other as well. Joey says Dave Meltzer reported that the Grizzled Young Vets contract expired. Do you think it will be renewed or no? Who was it, by the way, who reported that they had asked for and been granted their release and then they showed up shortly afterwards on NXT? Let's ask that question before we decide whether Dave Meltzer can be trusted on this. Ross says, well done on the 5k milestone, Tom. Well deserved. Thank you, Ross. Appreciate you. Raymond says, hello, Tom. Congratulations on getting to 5,000 onward and upward from here. Hopefully so. Things do continue to go the Tom Colohue way, and I'm very appreciative of all of you celebrating with me. We did reach, I believe it's 5,225 at the moment. There is a lot going on and a lot of reasons for that. I'll talk a little bit more length later, detailing exactly how we got here and exactly what the next steps are going to be. 23 Fresh says, any new Edge news? None whatsoever. Razar says, hi Tom, been having computer issues for days. Finally fix it by resetting Pram on Matt. I have no idea what that is. But welcome to the show. Cody D says, congrats on the 5k, well deserved and hard earned. No worries, thank you very kindly, Cody Defoe, for that. Eric says, congratulations on reaching 500k, which I've not quite reached yet, but I appreciate the enthusiasm, Eric. Wiggly says, yo, 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 which is always nice to see. We have just hit 30 likes. Thank you kindly, everyone who's already hit like. We do have 78 people here. Please remember to hit thumbs up. Michael brings in the news and always brings in exact quotes. Thank you for sourcing. Says, per SRS, WWE confirmed to us that today's cuts are only employees and do not extend to their independent contractor talent. More on that shortly. Hector says, Tom, have you ever heard of a source called Boozer Wrestling? BWE. Yes. BWE. You see them all the time. Dad says, Tom, who do you see winning the AEW title match this week? Joe or MJF? MJF. Zane says, will WWE sign a deal for Amazon Prime to stream Smackdown? I don't know, because it hasn't been signed yet. P says, Tom, how was your week? Back at work this week. May join the Smackdown watch along. Evening chat as well. Evening, Pete. Nice to see you, mate. If you are able to join the chat, you'd of course be very welcome. The dude says, evening, Tom and chat. Congrats on the 5k, Tom. Here's to 5k more. The day is coming. The day is coming. Spider-Boss says, with massive releases coming soon, I fear Cora Jade may get fired on the talent cuts. Wiggly says, Cultaholic is suggesting Jade is WWE bound and Edge is AEW bound. Are they suggesting that, or are they taking their sourcing from elsewhere? Because the Jade report came from Fightful. And Wiggly says, 5k, amazing. Spider-Boss says, Brian Alvarez reported that Jade Cargill asked for a lot of money. SRS said money wasn't a thing for Jade. So this is a case of people really going to war a little bit. Who do you believe? Wrestling Observer or Fightful? Let me know who your most trusted wrestling source is. Not including myself, just to be clear. Noob says, your thoughts on Jade Cargill leaving AEW for WWE? My thoughts are that it's just a report at this point in time. I cannot sit here and say it's going to happen, and as such, I'm not going to sit here and say what's going to happen. CM says, congrats, Tom. Thank you kindly. Dan says, I hope the cherry coke is topped up. We are loaded. We are loaded. P says, are you feeling Colohue? Colohue? Doesn't quite work. Congrats on the 5k. Thank you. 23 Fest says, is Elias going to AEW? Nope, more on that shortly. Steve says, congrats on 5k, Tom. Hope you're doing well, dude. Thank you kindly, Steve. As I say, a lot of different sources came in on that one, but I'm doing very well, thank you. Hector says, of all the wrestling sources in the world, I thought I'd ask you about BWE because I trust your judgment over most. More on that shortly. Their name will come up. Michael says, Raj Giri is pretty confident that Jade is re-signing. Obviously, Raj Giri previously did report on Sasha Banks being released. So certainly he has a lot of credibility out of that, even though it's not officially been confirmed. Spider-Boss says, finally, The Rock teased a match with the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. It won't be stopping there. Lucha says, let's all make sure when Mercedes shows up on AEW, we give Tom the credit he deserves. Also, Tom always talk about titles recently. Will the 24/7 title be revived? Seems very unlikely that was a USA concept. What I will say, and what I feel I should say, is that there have been many, many reports of new titles coming over the course of the last 2 years. Nothing has changed. Hey, Mustafa, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. And thank you for liking. Leon says, Fightful reports The Rock and Pat McAfee will be at tonight's SmackDown. Cast member from Pat's show tells Fightful. Interesting. Very interesting. I mean, certainly it could be The Rock and John Cena in a ring together. John Cena's going to be there. Cody says, any insight on the Mandy Rose tease of her landing in a promotion soon? It was just that her non-compete is up. She does want to wrestle. Most of them would be happy to have her. Stephen thinks Cora Jade is staying, although he does say Cara. Razar says, just when I thought we were free from the Rock at WrestleMania rumours, here it comes again. Michael says, wrestling media contradicts each other by the hour, which seems particularly true recently with so many new people coming to the dance. Devil says, according to BWE, a big babyface turn for one of the brightest talents in WWE is expected to happen. Could it be Austin Theory? Okay, so here's the thing. What they've reported is that someone is going to change from heel to face at some point. Maybe. And they're good. It's a very empty report. They could say it was LA Knight. They could say it's Io Sky. They could say it was Charlotte Flair. They could say it's Trish Stratus. There are too many options there. Drekipedia says Tom is awesome. Always takes time to make sure how everyone is doing. Give him some respect, please. And share, subscribe, and like. Thank you, Drekipedia. We have just reached 40 likes. And we continue to gain those numbers. Thank you kindly. We now have 81 viewers watching. Can we get up to that 100? Can we get up to 50 likes? Let's see what we can do. Ken says, what is your favourite catchphrase? Mine is scissor me daddy ass. Okay. I was always a follow the buzzards kind of guy. Always a follow the buzzards. Nas says, yo Tom, 5k, huge W. Daniela says, a Roman Reigns title defence. Oh my god, it's about time. And Trekipedia says, congrats Tom on 5k, well deserved. And it's just the beginning. Stephen says, Ari Emanuel has on people. I don't know what you're saying there, Stephen. Please elaborate. Spider-Boss says, I don't trust so much either in SRS or the Wrestling Observer. The USA wrestling media lately contradict each other. 23 Fresh says, anyone else potentially leaving AEW for the WWE? Whole load of people. And Marcel says, did you hear The Rock today? Yep, I know what you're going to be asking, and I've already got it covered, don't you worry. Stephen, you are really stating things as fact when they're very much up in the air. LF says, hi, hope everyone is having a good week. Tom, have you seen the interview today where Rock told Pat McAfee? Again, more on that shortly. 23 Fresh says, does Emanuel really trust Vince McMahon? Yes, or he wouldn't have hired him. Michael says, Fightful says, Rock and Pat will be at Smackdown, but they didn't say they'll be on the show at all. They could just be backstage for all we know. Thank you for clarifying that, Michael. There have been times when, of course, Big E was backstage. There have been times when CM Punk was backstage. Didn't get on the show. Hector says, Tom, I think BWE watches your shorts and spoiler warning. They also reported that Drew will be re-signing with the WWE. The dude says, as for the Rock rumours, I think Bully Ray said it best earlier. Nothing like rolling a grenade into the room and walking away. Q43 says, according to her Twitch, Dakota Kai isn't cleared to wrestle till next year. That is indeed what she said. I expect her to be back by around Royal Rumble time. But she'll be a little bit physical before then. Razar says, what did you think of Nia Jax's return on Raw? Well, we're constantly saying that there aren't big names to take on Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley's title reign doesn't feel particularly grandiose as of yet. This is certainly an answer. Q43 says, according to representative Pat McAfee shows Rock is planning to be at SmackDown. Spider-Boss says, my favourite catchphrase still being my name is Sasha Banks and my name is bigger than your title. Not a catchphrase. I don't recall her actually saying that. I don't recall that. Lucia says, it bothers me when people eat up Meltzer reports. Big shake-up in the world titles coming soon. And nothing happens for the 50th time. 50th time. Seems extravagant, but it probably isn't. Steven says, we are waiting on The Rock versus Roman Reigns for 3 years. I hope we get this match at WrestleMania 40. Dan says, any idea where the AEW Real World Championship is? Did Tony Khan get it back? No. Good thing it's covered in crap. So let me ask you guys a question, because there's a lot of talk about this. Who do you want to have as next year's WrestleMania main event? Because we've got The Rock throwing his name into the hat. We have Cody Rhodes potentially challenging if he wants to finish the story. We have many other people. Jey Uso coming back around. Solo Sikoa. Drew McIntyre. Who do you want, particularly, to main event next year's WrestleMania? Let me know in the chat. I want to get your opinions on this. I want to canvas. I need to know. I got to know. Trekipedia says, I think we will see Cody finally defeat Roman at 40. Will says, The Rock saying that stuff is just him trolling you, much like John Cena. There be some trolling. Leon suggests for a main event of WrestleMania, Gunter versus anyone. Spider-Boss says, if The Rock finally comes and faces Roman at WrestleMania, I think Cody will not finish his story. I've said previously, I don't expect Cody to finish his story. Daniela wants Cody versus Roman for the title, and Solo should be in the Royal Rumble. Okay, well, he's going to be in the Royal Rumble. KJ says, what's up, Tom? What's up, KJ? How you doing, mate? Daz wants Seth to main event WrestleMania. Tyler says Orton versus Rhodes at WrestleMania, with Rhodes winning before then from Reigns. As in, what, back-to-back matches? Because I don't see that one happening. Noob wants Asuka and Io Sky. Does not surprise me with you, sir. Hector says, I want someone who they'll actually have Roman lose to. The Rock won't be that person, sadly, which is 100% true. Any time that The Rock is involved, it will be in a loss. Wiggly says, WrestleMania 40 main event is Reigns versus Rhodes 2. Spider-Boss says, I'm interested in Roman versus The Rock. Roman already defeated Cody and Jay this year. And Wiggly says, Gunter will then beat Cody for his title. So a lot of, I want this main event, but also this and this and this. Just the main event, guys. Michael says, Roman versus Roman, with Roman winning. Well, I mean, if he wins the Royal Rumble, he could just go to the WrestleMania main event and say, yeah, I'm that good. I'm just that good. I wouldn't hate it. That's all I'm saying. Wouldn't hate it. Bailey says Cody versus Roman. Cody says Rock versus Roman. Finally. The Dude says still holding out hope for Roman versus Cody 2. Mark says Roman versus The Rock, or Roman versus Cody, or Roman versus The Rock versus Cody Rhodes. So you want 3 main events, mate. Pick one. Lucha wants Hogan versus Flair. Blue says Cody versus Roman, Gunter versus Seth. I do think Gunter versus Seth has to be the play. 23 Fresh says, is Zilla fat? I imagine that means Fatu, and I don't know. No talk of it. Steven says Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the title. Oh, gotcha, Daniela. That makes sense. Thank you for clarifying. KJ said I'd say Roman versus The Rock for night 1, Roman versus Cody for night 2, but that'd be a bit selfish. If The Rock comes back, maybe have Cody finish the story later on and another stadium show. Doesn't have to be WrestleMania. You gotta have a reason to tune into a Royal Rumble, I'll tell you that. Richard says Cody versus Roman. Thank you kindly. Razar says, my guess, The Rock pulled out of WrestleMania due to the Vince scandal because he made sure to say the talks happened early 2022, aka pre-Vince scandal. Barry Monkey says Rock versus paper or scissors. Well, we'll know who the winner's going to be in that one, won't we? Zane says, will there be any NXT wrestlers in the Royal Rumble? Far too early to say. Marcel says Roman versus Cody. Ross says, I'd like to see Solo versus Roman for 40, but it will be Cody, and I'd have Cody versus Drew night 1 and Gunter versus Roman night 2. That would be a swapping of the brands for Gunter. Spider-Boss says, if I could pick the Raw talent to be traded to SmackDown, I would pick Dominic Mysterio. Rhea was awesome before Dom joined the Judgment Day. Rhea is still awesome in my eyes, and I will never change that plan. Bailey says, Dwayne Johnson is 51. I don't want to see him struggle in the ring as John Cena is, and Steve Austin and The Undertaker already has. Hector says, call me crazy, but I think there's a world where we see Jacob Fatu versus Roman in the WWE before we see The Rock versus Roman. Rock has been coming to Mania as long as Veer was coming to Raw, and we know how that went. Mark says, fine, I'll pick one. Roman versus Gunter, and he dethrones Roman. Leon says, top dollar versus Roman Reigns would be a phenomenal main event. He does say Phantom, but I don't know what he means by that. Cody says, I'd prefer if Seth doesn't hold the title until Mania. Gunter versus Priest maybe for the Raw title. That could be fun. Sai says, to clear up reports of Rock potentially at SmackDown, Fightful actually said he may be backstage, but they're unable to verify. They have not reported he could or would be on the show. Appreciate that, Sai. There's a few people in here now who are just very good at the research, and I very much appreciate all of you for making sure we're reporting the right stuff. Trekkipedia says, people saying the new merger means ticket prices too up for Raw and SmackDown, but I think they'd keep them relatively the same price, so PLE ticket prices may go up. That is pure 100% speculation. Marcel says, I hope for the triple threat, Jimmy versus Jay versus Solo at Mania, and Roman versus Cody at Mania. Trekkipedia says, last time Rock was on the main event of SmackDown, he tore every muscle off his pelvis. May not be a smart idea for him to wrestle at his age. And Wiggly says, WrestleMania 50 main event, MJF versus Darby Allin, which is not something that's going to happen. Lucha says, Goldberg versus Ryback at WrestleMania 40 so both can stop complaining and just go away. Nope, because when you feed the trolls, what happens? What happens? We have hit 50 likes. 50 likes, and I appreciate all of you for hitting that thumbs up and for guaranteeing that there will be people watching this show. We do see a huge boost in viewership every time we get a high number of likes. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I'm grateful to all of you for helping me with the growth of the channel. Doopy says, who do you think will get released? And I'm absolutely not going to comment on that. Doopy, I know you're relatively new here, so I'll explain the system. I am not going to say this person should be released. I'm not going to say I think this person will be released. That's not something we guess at, as Sai has clarified. These are people's livelihoods, and we are going to take this as delicately as we possibly can. Hi Vegeta, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. Cody says, a ladies' main event at Mania is much harder for me to predict. No idea who should be in that position. I personally would say Io and Bayley. Raymond says, Solo winning the Rumble and defeating Roman at Mania. Rhea versus Jade Cargill for night 1. So a wrestler who is not currently with the WWE. Bismo says, thanks again for being on, Tom. Today's been rough with a sick family member. You're like a medicine, tell me cope with everything. I appreciate that, thank you. Spiderboss says, do you think Becky's NXT Women's title reign is a short one? Yeah, I reckon WrestleMania, Rhea versus Becky. Could well main event night 1. No worries, Doopy. Obviously, I'm aware that you're not aware of the way that we typically work here when it comes to stuff like that. So, absolutely understand why you would ask the question. It's just not something we cover. That says, not on for long, got to go to bed soon, got to be up early in the morning. Sorry to hear it, but I hope you enjoy the show regardless. Bucks Basement says, hi Tom, looking forward to your spoilers. Binge watching the One Piece live action before Smackdown. I'm shocked how good it is. Have you watched it? Nope. The only real anime I've watched other than the obvious Pokemon and Digimon would be Death Note, which was amazing. Dan says, Leatherface versus Robocop for WrestleMania 40. Cody says, Io versus Bayley versus Dakota triple threat maybe? I wouldn't hate it, that's all I'm saying. Ross says, not liking the speculation of PLEs going back to Sunday, UFC being Saturday. I like both, but hope PLEs are Saturday. Again, pure speculation, as you well know. Raymond just says, fantasy booking. Christopher Simmons says, The Rock is still planned to do Mania 40, though 39 was on a lock. He's not. There is no plan for The Rock to do WrestleMania 40. No plan. Blue says, I'd love Io versus Bayley or Becky versus Rhea. Mark suggests Roman versus CM Punk, which will never happen. They will not trust him in that spot. Bucks Basement says, Tom, do you think Asuka is going to retire soon? Think she'll retire eventually? I don't know her life. I don't know her life. Spiderboss says, I wonder why it has taken so long for WWE to put the NXT Women's title on Roxanne Perez again. It hasn't been. Becky Lynch is currently the NXT Women's Champion. Becky Lynch. Joe says, do you think The Rock will be at Mania 40? No. Vijay said, Jade is kind of confirmed. No, she isn't. There is no kind of confirmed. Until the WWE say, hey, Jade Cargill signed here, it's unconfirmed. That's how reports work. Carl says, here a little late, hope all is well, Tom. Indeed, very well, thank you, mate. Welcome to the show. JJ says, hey, Tom, did you see Becky got NXT over 1 million views? Just want to say she proved to everybody that she is a draw. She didn't need to prove it. We all know that already. Lucha says, fans and trolls get narrow-sighted with wrestlers. I don't like this wrestler, I don't like his character, I don't like promos, they should fire him. These are people with family and lives, which is absolutely correct, Lucha, I appreciate that. Wiggly says, did you say Digimon? As a Pokemon fan, I'm insulted. I'm not. Digimon is far superior. Far superior. It actually has what's called a story. Richard says, triple threat, Asuka versus Io versus Kairi. Yeah, I've mentioned that before, and I'm excited by the idea. Blue says, The Rock knows how to keep his name in the news. Book says, any chance to do Io versus Asuka versus Kairi? I've discussed that previously. Danielle says, great start to Ray's US title reign. He wasn't even on Smackdown last week. Not everyone can be. Also, his US title reign hasn't just started. Spider-Boss says, Nia Jax made Rhea Ripley look small and manhandled her easily. Yeah, she sold good. Christopher says, I think LA Knight should win the Royal Rumble instead of Gunter. I would not personally be a fan because there is no chance of him getting a good slot. It would mean a Royal Rumble winner who gets somewhere in the middle of the show. Pismo suggests Shockmaster versus Roman in a time travel match. Eric says WrestleMania 40 Night 1 main event and then says nothing else. Ghost says, hello Tom and chat, hope everyone is doing well. Thank you kindly, Ghost. Welcome to the show. Hector says, SRS reported that Alexa Gotthard, who worked for WWE in a digital capacity, was let go today. Zane says, did Tony Khan lie about AEW All-In attendance numbers, or are fans overreacting without sufficient information? More on that shortly. Will says, do you know if WWE is planning to still bring in Kairi Sane? Nothing has changed to my knowledge. I've reported on this one at length. Razar says, Asuka versus Io is happening next week on SmackDown. Do you think Io isn't going to defend at Fastlane? There's always a rotation. I think this time it's Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax at Fastlane. Pokemon does not have a story. The character of Ash is, I want to be the best. Okay, what else? The best. Okay, but like, how do you want to? The best. Okay, but what else is you? Who is your, like, character? What is your personality? A guy who wants to be the best. F you, Ash Ketchum. You are pointless. Trekipedia says, I thought WWE was stopping physical media according to some people. Like, until WWE says it will or won't happen, I never believe it. I don't know what you mean by stopping physical media. Like, they don't do a newspaper? Cody says, really hoping the TKO era relies a lot less on nostalgia acts. I love me some nostalgia, but it's been too much for too long. Triple H has largely put an end to a lot of the nostalgia. Raymond says, looking forward to see where WWE goes with Becky. Can't even start speculating who Becky will put over. No one, but she'll put them over when they lose. So, like, it's going to be much like Charlotte, but longer. Spider-Bell says, Io versus Kairi versus Asuka at WrestleMania 40, please. Doopy says, do you think Nia Jax will get involved in the Bloodline storyline because she's related to the Bloodline? Jesus Christ, no. Eric says, WrestleMania 40, Night 1 main event for the undisputed WWE Women's Championship, Io Sky versus Asuka versus Kairi Sane. Christopher says, do you see Gunter and Brock still a possibility? Yep. They want it to happen, it'll happen. Daniela says, WWE has confirmed Finn versus AJ tonight and Bayley versus Asuka. Fun. Ross says, if WWE get Jade Cargill, that would be an excellent get for them. Deonna's Impact deal is meant to be up at the end of the year. She would be a good get for either WWE or AEW. Blue says, Rhea defended her title at Payback, so it should be Io's turn theoretically. True. Forgot about that one. Lucius says, Ash Ketchum was a bland babyface. He was never over for me. Yeah, there was something a bit Rocky Maivia about him. I could imagine people chanting, die, Ash, die. And, you know, Ash Ketchum sucks. Wiggly says, genuinely though, do you ever see MJF coming to WWE? Vegeta says he struggled for character growth, which I think is true. One thing I really enjoy doing, and I will get to the news, I promise. One thing I really enjoy doing is explaining TV shows in wrestling terms. For example, Game of Thrones lost out because they built up the biggest possible heel and then he wasn't in the main event. Like, they built up the best face versus heel dynamic. The heel was always coming. The face, there were some good options, but they were very reliable. Always trustworthy. Not the one you thought it would be necessarily, but the popular choice. And then what happened? There was 3 more episodes. And what happened instead was a massive heel turn in the main event of the biggest show of the year before the match had even started. What the hell? Also, Tyrion Lannister is the Miz. Christopher says people think Bray Wyatt should be Hall of Fame 2022. I don't see it happening next year, but it will happen in the future. Dad says, who do you see next for Ray? Tom? More of the same, unfortunately. Trekipedia says that's how I describe Smallville and Buffy in wrestling terms. It seems to help people I know understand it better. Goo43 says, when do you believe Logan Paul's next match will be? I think he'll be in the Royal Rumble again. And Spider-Boss says, so many years and Pikachu never aged and Ash never grew up. That is weird. Yeah. Barry says, WWE is basically Athletic Coronation Street. One day what I'll do is I'll just do a live show, a random live show, and you guys can suggest different TV shows. I'll pick out ones that I've seen, because if I haven't seen them, I haven't seen them, and I'll explain them in wrestling terms. Blue Paul Heyman is 100%. What's the guy? Master of Whispers. The other guy, the other little finger. The bald one. You know the one. The one that actually says some things that make a lot of sense and isn't always being conniving. What's his Gamp name? Help me out here, guys. Trekipedia. Varys, thank you, Blue. Varys. Trekipedia says Vegeta, absolutely. And 2 of my favourite shows ever. Same with Supernatural. Not one I've seen. Blue says, I've already read that one. And Lucha says, I use wrestling logic when I talk to people about why certain superhero movies fail. And you are absolutely correct. One of the main things is that a lot of Marvel films just don't have good heels. Christopher says, when do you see Pat McAfee returning? Whenever he wants. The door's wide open for him. Cody says, it sounds like a great idea on all of Tom's wrestling stories for TV series. Can we start with Doctor Who? Absolutely, because the Doctor is not the main babyface in Doctor Who. This is something in storytelling. It's called witness. The main character is the witness because the main character has to be relatable. We have to be in their shoes, being like, wow, this Doctor's crazy, as part of the story. Jay says, I think whoever's idea it was to give Becky the belt was smart. Not only did she become a Grand Slam, Becky doesn't mind putting people over, helping them get more noticed. She gets a lot of women over. Will says, it's crazy how Mercedes wanted to work with Jade, but now she might be coming to WWE. Wrestling is crazy. Danielle says, what do you reckon is happening with the OC? There seems to be tension. Eric, we will not be speculating on who may or may not be losing their job. More on that shortly as regards the situation. Camo says it's like if Roman were to lose to Dominic at Mania. Spoilers, Camo. Spoilers. But it's not like losing to Dominic. It's like losing to someone who's been built up a long time. It's like losing to Jay. You'd think it would be Cody, but it ended up being Jay. We can all kind of get behind that. KJ says, I don't know if you have an answer for this, but do you think Jade possibly leaving AEW could have been caused by a certain issue like Cody? No. There was no certain issue. Cody's contract was coming up and he wanted to leave. Trekkipedia says, I love Doctor Who and I feel people trashing it a lot just because they feel it's a cool thing to do. Bismo says, Tom, have you caught any of the new Netflix series Wrestlers? Nope. Zane says, Nia Jax's return to television is a farce and a complete joke creatively. What value does she bring anything, let alone for the women's division? Name value and heat. Pure heel heat. Because they are lacking name value opponents for Rhea Ripley. Christopher says, you think Mania 40 is the best time like last year? We didn't see him till Mania 39 for Pat McAfee. Kieran says, hey Tom, is there a watch party tonight? Yes, there is. Apologies about last week, it was just far too hot. That is not the case this week. KJ says, there's been slight tension in every faction in WWE since Triple H took over. Lucha says, I'm loving the NXT crossovers boosting the ratings. Becky and Dom are bringing eyes to both titles. The young star who wins those titles will be extremely appreciative. Trekkipedia says, it reminds me, why doesn't WWE put up OVW episodes they own on Peacock? Because it's not up to them what goes on Peacock. And Zane says, I think Paul Heyman will be in the Hall of Fame in 2023. Hall of Fame 2023 is, of course, long gone. Spider-Boss says, do you think Rhea Ripley is a tweener? Nope, there are two Rhea Ripleys. There is a women's champion Rhea Ripley. There is Judgment Day Rhea Ripley. Said it before, and I stand by it. KJ says, Jax has a name in my opinion. Also, she comes off as a threat to Rhea. Yep, 100% she comes off as a threat, whether you think it by the conventional way or not. Christopher says, do you think Bron Breakker is ready for the main roster? I think he's been ready for 2 years. Kieran said, Jade Cargill potentially being a Rhea opponent is going to be nice. Potentially is the right word. Camo says, speaking of Game of Thrones, do you watch House of the Dragon? Nope. Barry says, that's like Mrs. Brown's Boys. People criticise it and people who watch it just because they think it makes them look clever. Lucha says, those zippers or diamonds on your shirt? Zip. Zip. Top of the zip. Right. We are 33 minutes in. Let's talk about some news, shall we? We're also 57 likes in. Three more thumbs up will get us to 60, which is a record for this time in a live show. Also, naturally, I will ask that if you're able to, please do hit subscribe. If it's your first time here, you're of course very welcome to do so. You'll get notifications for every live show going forwards. So let's talk about the reports of WWE mass releases coming to Raw, Smackdown and NXT. Firstly, I can confirm what Fightful have already reported, there is no intention today to be doing a mass release of talent. They will be communicating at a much slower pace than they have done previously. There won't be one night where everyone is culled. They are starting with office staff, as I spoke about on Monday. The idea is that they will conjoin WWE and UFC office staff to do both jobs under one roof and in many ways under one person. Now, when it comes to those office jobs, they are expecting to save a decent amount of money, but nothing particularly substantial. What I will say is that they have been preparing for this for a long time. Nick Khan essentially tightened the purse strings on Triple H quite a while ago, and we've not seen many renewals since. Those renewals that have been signed have been for a lower amount of money. Returners is also true. Braun Strowman, for example, is on a lot less money than he was. The same was also true of Bray Wyatt. They are looking at different avenues to increase their revenue stream, and signing people on lower money contracts is one of the ways that they are doing that. Another way that they're doing that is the continentalization, which is a phrase I coined way back when, and a couple of days later Nick Khan himself mentioned it. Particularly mentioned it, so I didn't necessarily coin it myself, but it does prove a little bit of my sourcing. When it comes to the continentalization, they are traveling to a number of different countries, and those countries are paying WWE for the privilege. So WWE still gains all of the money from the ticket sales and the like, from the once-in-a-lifetime feel of a lot of these shows, for example the Puerto Rico show, but they're also making money hand over fist simply for being there and helping to, shall we say, stimulate the economy. As regards releases are being planned. A number of WWE wrestlers are likely to be released. Nick Khan is, as we speak, putting together the cost-benefit analysis section. But, as I say, they are taking steps to try and avoid this, and Triple H will be fighting it with every fibre of his being. There is a need to have quite a variety of people, potentially on those lower money contracts, but there is also a number of people who are on contracts which are for much higher money. Those people will be protected. It does mean, and here's the biggest issue, names like LA Knight, names like Drew McIntyre, names like Brock Lesnar, who have contract renewals up, are potentially looking at a much lower amount of money if they sign a new deal. I'd also be looking at names like Rey Mysterio on that one. It will be lower money offered, and that's going to make things at least a little more difficult in the long run. When WWE firings do start, I will be going live as soon as I possibly can to be here with you in those moments, because I do know that they are difficult times. I remember the Iconics being released way back when, Aleister Black, Braun Strowman and the like, and I remember going live to my biggest audience at the time, 20 people, and just grieving a little bit. So I will go live as soon as I can on that, and I will of course be reporting as much as I can when the moments do come. Sean says, hello Tom, so you had a massive troll on the YouTube side, fun times. We did. And it did mean that the show started with a massive boost of numbers, so cheers troll. Zane says, what has happened to the NXT Women's Tag Team titles? They do not exist anymore. Daniela says, Carmelo versus Dom this Tuesday, champion versus champion. I reckon Melo wins, but I could see Dom winning. With Becky Lynch now holding a championship in NXT, they will likely look to remove Dominic Mysterio from that position. It's one of those where they don't want all of the championships to be held by the same people, though I can see Dominic having at least a brief run at the very top. Keyshawn says, do you see Jade having a dominant run in NXT before main roster? More on that shortly as regards Jade Cargill. Kieran says, do you think Nick Khan stopped signing to get ready for the AEW contracts to be up like MJF, for example? Nope. The situations of AEW are of no concern whatsoever to Nick Khan. Nick Khan's only interest is fiscal, which means that he saw, we're spending too much money, and said, let's stop. That's all it is. Sean says, Roxanne and Gigi can benefit from working with Becky. I agree with that. Spider-Boss says, I prefer Rhea Ripley, Women's World Champion, that is Rhea without Dom, which is fair. We'll definitely have some of our favourites. Keyshawn, you've been told this already, but just to reiterate, we don't want to be speculating as regards this. These are people with families, with lives, with commitments and homes and the like that they could be in trouble with. So we're not going to speculate as to names. I will talk about some people who are nervous and potentially looking over their shoulders, but I will not be speculating on who's going to be fired, if in fact anyone is. I do refer everyone to July, way back when WrestleVotes reported via Give Me Sport and Louis Dangor reported that there would be mass releases in July. 2 months ago, nothing happened. It's interesting because we're seeing really conflicting reports right now from a number of different sources, so we're going to see who's worth listening to. Thank you, Trekipedia, for clarifying. Sai says, tonight SmackDown is loaded. Finn Balor versus AJ Styles just announced, along with Bayley versus Asuka. Cena on the Grayson Waller segment also. If The Rock's going to appear, that would be the time. Zane says, who's the best wrestler in the world? Jay White. Wiggly, I don't want to name and shame a troll because I can't remember, and I've been scrolling up and I just can't be asked. Lucha says, when Bray got fired, I hated WWE for almost a year and refused to watch. JJ says, is it just me? But I feel like no matter what, you should start at NXT, then go to the main roster. Especially since it's a bigger crowd, they go pick apart every single mistake you do. AJ Styles was never going to go to NXT. Or start in NXT, I should say. Raymond says, hi, Troll. Bye, Troll. Alyssa says, do The Rock versus Roman Reigns for WrestleMania 40 over Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns 2. Do screw over again, get moment. Could you clarify that? Bailey says, what's going to be the criteria for any cuts at NXT, given they're already on small contracts? Are performance center prospects also at risk? Yes. Essentially, if they don't believe that a wrestler has the requisite star power to make it to the very top of the main roster, they're not going to keep them. No, Joey, nothing on Jade Cargill just yet. Her name is, of course, coming up. Razar really hopes nobody gets released. Me too. Pardon me. Angel Lucia says, I've been saying this. Cody should beat Orton for the title. It's a big money feud. I would do night 1 main event, Cody versus Randy, and night 2 main event, pardon me, Roman versus Rock. Randy Orton's position right now is not guaranteed. Hector says, Tom, my question is, I guess sometimes there's financial cuts in any business. With WWE getting a massive deal in the Endeavour acquisition, one would think they'd have a little more money to play with than before. I don't think you fully understand how this works. They weren't given a whole heap of money. That didn't happen. Oh, welcome back, Brad. Appreciate you. They weren't given a whole heap of money. It was a merger. So they merged the resources that they had. The resources didn't go boom. Spider-Boss says, I never got why Raj Giri never confirmed his report about Mercedes getting fired by WWE last year. I don't understand what you mean. What do you mean by never confirmed? It's up to the WWE to confirm. It's up to Mercedes to confirm. I don't understand what you mean by never confirmed. Someone who isn't first-hand can't confirm. David Leary says, with Nick Khan tightening the purse strings, will there be fewer NIL? I don't know what NIL means. Luch says, that infamous hiring freeze, but people continue to be signed. Yeah, there was never a hiring freeze. Never a hiring freeze. Will says, with the cuts, is there a chance it may not happen if they find out other means? Yeah. I've discussed this at length. They are trying to make it not happen. And so far, they're doing well in that regard. Joey says, is Nick Khan still trying to avoid budget cuts by raising the revenue? Yes. Austin hopes Cross won't get it again. Sean says, I think Ronda should have started in NXT. Well, never going to happen. Dan says, what's happening about NXT Europe? It's still being set up. Kieran says, I'm surprised from all the reports that Jade would go straight to the main roster, but I'm down for it. What reports are those? Bismo says, I hope Cross and Loomis get packaged together. No, Brad, I did not see Impact 1000 last night. Keyshawn says, did you hear The Rock trying to explain why he didn't wrestle Roman at the last Mania? Yep. Joey says, did Elias's contract expire? More on that shortly. Spider-Boss says it's September and people on social media still complaining about Cody losing WrestleMania 39. People need to move on. Well then, the WWE need to stop teasing the possibility of it. Eric says, what do you all think Jade's new name will be if she goes to WWE? Jade Cargill. Then he says, what is your favourite wrestling show? Mine is Impact. Not for me. Joey says, Raj doesn't even report things, he just speculates on things. Not true. Not even slightly true. He 100% reported that Sasha Banks had been released. Daniela says, I hope we get Randy versus Riddle when Randy eventually returns. Randy potentially returns. Alyssa says, do The Rock versus Roman Reigns screw over Cody Rhodes and not give his moment? Still not sure what you're doing. That says, nil signings are developmental. Gotcha. Right. Okay, now I'm with you. Joey says, if they're planning to do budget cuts, then why are they still signing new talent? Because they believe that the talent that they're signing is better than the talent that they already have. Do you buy a bigger TV when you've got a 12-inch already? Spider-Boss says, Roderick Strong being the crazy jealous friend has been funny. Carlos says, John Cena says on Twitter something big could happen tonight. Yeah, he's John Cena. Of course he's going to say that. Moxie says, yo, Tom, what did you cook up for us today? Plenty, plenty. Spider-Boss says, credit to Tony Storm, her current gimmick is funny to watch. Brad says, would Cody Rock Roman triple threat happen instead of one-on-one? Nope. Ricky says, hey Tom, good to see you and happy Friday. Since Vince owns TKO, does that mean he has more say now or not? Sorry if I'm late on this. The exact same amount as he did. In fact, kind of less, actually. Kind of less because there's now someone above him. So, next piece of news. We are currently at 66 likes. We have 97 people here. If you can, Please give me 4 more likes to get up to that 70. We are really close to it and I'd very much appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already to be notified whenever we go live. AEW reported that more than 81,000 people were in attendance and bought tickets for AEW All In at Wembley. This has been pretty heavily disputed by Wembley. A Freedom of Information request went through, and this is via WrestleNomics. I believe it was about 73,000 in the end that went through the turnstiles. Now, it's very possible that they did indeed sell 81,000 tickets, but 81,000 people did not go through those doors. Did they lie? Possible. It's also possible, much like WWE, they factored in people in attendance such as ushers and the like, though I don't recall many of them. I do think it's interesting that the recognised actual attendance of WrestleMania 32, the record so far, is just over 80,000, and the resulting one on AEW was 81,000. Always an interesting one. Next up, The Rock. I know you're all waiting for it, so let's talk about The Rock. The Rock has stated that the match at WrestleMania 39 between he and Roman Reigns was locked in. And then he explained how it was locked in, which was at some point he said to Vince McMahon, let's do it. That's not locked in, guys. That's not locked in. I'll repeat what I've always said. What I've always said. There were no concrete plans, and a match for The Rock was not booked for WrestleMania, as it's been for many, many years. No match was booked. Cody Rhodes was the plan for Roman as early as June. There was talk of Roman Reigns doing double duty and potentially having a big name involved, but they wanted someone of a Rock and Stone Cold caliber, and they couldn't get the people that they were looking for. The Rock was not booked for a match at WrestleMania 39. He has teased potentially having a match against Roman at WrestleMania 40. You know what's going to happen? People are going to tune in tonight. People are going to tune into Smackdown expecting to see The Rock. The man is very good at what he does. Very good at what he does. There is no plan at the moment for a main event of WrestleMania 40 between The Rock and Roman Reigns. That said, it could change, but this is the exact time of year that we always hear the same thing. The Rock's coming back and he's going to face Roman at WrestleMania. At the moment, it is not a plan to do so. Keyshawn says, do you think losing Jade is a big loss for AEW? Yeah, if they lose Jade, they're losing part of their future. Spider-Boss says, who do you see beating MJF for the AEW World title? No idea. Genuinely not sure. Wiggly says, don't forget there was a train strike that weekend, Tom, so many didn't turn up, which I think is likely part of the situation. I think they did sell that many tickets, but they didn't attend, and it's an attendance. Joey says, do you think Becky will hold the title for a while, or is it a short-term run? I think it'll be quite similar to Dominic. Carlos, thank you, says, as per PWInsider, Dana Warrior has been released. Keyshawn says, I know people in the States have bought tickets just to support. Doesn't really work in their favour. KJ says, that's what I'm saying. 81k tickets were bought, but 81k didn't show up. Even WrestleTalk reported over 80k. Yeah. 81,000 people didn't turn up. The Freedom of Information request meant that they got information directly from Wembley itself. So it's an accurate number. Cody says, working in the venue industry, 80 to 90% attendance is extremely common for most shows, but also very possible that many people, such as staff, may have got tickets and skipped the turnstiles. Both a possibility. I'm not going to sit here and say there was any lie because I can't guarantee it, and certainly I wouldn't accuse anyone of that without 100% fact. Blue says, AEW made it clear on the night it was fans in attendance. At the press conference, Tony said there was 90k in the building overall. Well, they didn't go through the turnstiles. Sean says, was Nia return a Vince McMahon call? Nope. Spider-Boss says, I wanted to see Mercedes versus Jade, but it seems that match may not happen in AEW. Lucha says, The Rock will never be at another WrestleMania as a match, but the WWE and Rock will never confirm or deny. The buzz of all you talking about and tuning in is what they want. I mean, there's a whole lot of people here who are buzzing on the possibility. Bismarck says, cheers, Tom. Cherry Coke, drink of champions. James says, The Rock loves electricity. He is, after all, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. Trickopedia said, I'd be happy if The Rock hosted again. He doesn't need to wrestle for me. Ricky says, hey, Tom, do you see Nia Jax posing a threat to Rhea, and could you see her winning the belt? Yes. No. Gomar says, hello. Welcome, Gomar. Joey says, are they making cuts to the front office because Endeavour has their own staff? Yeah. Kieran says, did you see Ospreay got the 81k number tattooed on him? Would suck for it to just be fake after that. Rizal says, I trust you, Tom, you were right last year when a lot of journalists were saying Rock was going to return. Hector says, the big issue no one really thinks about when it comes to The Rock is bigger and more important than ever. We've all been involved in, and with his age, it might be more of a flight risk. He might be more of a flight risk for his own personal sakes. Joey says, do you think if there's heat with TK and the people who run Wembley since they gave out the real numbers? No. Blue says, ticket brokers also bought lots of tickets. Doesn't mean they offloaded all of them. This is why turnstiles is what matters most in my opinion. Lucha says, I want to see Tom Stone Cold a few cherry cokes at 10k. We ain't even close to that yet. Stuart Claw, welcome. Says, hello, good sir. Who do you think will get the TV rights when they are renewed? There's a number of different companies bidding for them. Going to sneeze, bear with me just 1 second. To put it bluntly, I don't think Fox is as out of the running as has been previously mentioned, but there are a number of different areas doing so. There was talk of Disney, and Disney are actually genuinely interested in NXT, but that would mean a watering down of the product, which is why they'd buy one and not the other. I do think, personally, Disney are going to get at least one of the main 3 WWE programs. That said, Peacock are also very interested in a little bit extra, but they're not willing to spend the money that the WWE are looking for. Moxie says, Tom, do you see Dom dethroning Rhea? No. Spider-Boss says, do you think Becky could win the 2024 Women's Rumble, or Becky just challenge Rhea next year? I think she just challenges her next year. I think the winner of the Rumble will be Bayley. Joey says, do you know if there's heat with TK and the people who... I've already read that one. Carmelina says, Tom, I have to say I like the Jay storyline more than Jimmy. Jimmy, in my opinion, does not make sense. I agree. Trekkipedia says, people bought them and tried to resell tickets but couldn't offload them before the event, is my guess. AEW definitely have a pretty big problem with ticket scalpers. They really do seem to have a problem with it. Thank you, Ricky, Trekkipedia. Thank you, Stuart. Appreciate that. Sean says, Seth was number 1 on the PWI 500 list. Roman was second and Moxley was third. I mean, they'll be very, very happy with that. Very happy indeed. Joey says, does Fox not want to pay more, or the other streaming companies offering more money? I don't know. KJ says, you're short on Mercedes versus Jade, more likely to happen in WWE than AEW. Any more on that yet? I'm coming to it, don't you worry. Trekkipedia says, I could see NBC showing Smackdown on the NBC network starting next season on Fridays. Rizal says, honestly, this AEW ticket thing wouldn't be a big deal if they didn't talk so much about holding the record and not lying about attendance. Again, I can't sit here and say that they lied. Okay, next up, Elias. You know I'm not going to answer that, Wiggly. Elias. Now, there's a report out from BWE that Elias's contract has ended with the WWE. The report also states that he's still working for the WWE. How does that work? Let me explain. If someone is injured for a prolonged period of time or unavailable for a prolonged period of time due to an illness, due to, for example, paternity leave, which is something the WWE are looking to be more involved in going forwards, then the contract will be extended. So the original date of the contract may have expired, but the actual contract itself will continue to be extended. To my knowledge, Elias's contract originally has expired, but the extension does continue, and as such he is still under WWE contract. I've previously reported that Roman Reigns' next championship defense will be in Saudi Arabia at the beginning of November. I want to say thank you to Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer, who has now confirmed that to be the case. Appreciate you there, Dave, confirming what I've already reported. Naturally, as I've mentioned before, if you do want the news before anyone else, be sure to check out and maintain a regular eye on Spoiler Warning. We do our best to inform as best we can here. We've reached 73 likes so far. If you're able to, I need 2 more. Thumbs ups would make a big difference and really help the channel grow. Moxie says, I mean, Jimmy's story kind of makes sense if he's trying to rejoin to get Solo out, but if that's not the plan, it makes no sense. It makes no sense anyway. Trekkipedia says, keep an eye out next year for any NBC Friday shows that may be either canned or moved. That could be a good hint of SmackDown coming to NBC. Vijit says, what else should Jimmy do? He's used to backup. Shouldn't have left in the first place. Carmelina just says, Tom, you're the best. Thank you kindly. Appreciate that. Bailey says, part of the unease about broadcast races per the New York Post, Disney may put up the ABC network for sale and ESPN could follow, so making long-term right commitments is tricky. Keith Sean says, I can't listen to Meltzer and his stories. He has a bias for some, and you're entitled to that opinion. Speaking of TV deals, AEW is believed to be heading to Max, which was formerly HBO Max. This is a recent report, so one that I don't have really anything on, but I just wanted to reiterate that it seems likely that they're moving to the WWE model. I've known this for a while and mentioned it a few times. They are moving to much more pay-per-views, with the idea being that they will be doing the exact same one a month that the WWE essentially made famous. The reach out from Max was basically to say, hey, you're doing really good at the moment. You can do what WWE did, but for us. We'll see what actually happens with that one, but nothing is yet finalised. Jade Cargill. I know a lot of people have been asking about this one, but let's clarify what the situation is at the moment. Fightful have reported that Jade Cargill will be leaving AEW and could well be signing in WWE. They have stated that people in WWE expect it to happen. What I will say is that if she is still under contract, then people in WWE should not expect it to happen, because that's sort of giving the game away that they know something about her contract that would constitute tampering. It would constitute tampering. Now, there is interest from the WWE in Jade Cargill. They do believe she has star power, and they do believe she is a talent that could entice other female talents around the world to sign with them first to wrestle with her. However, what I will say is that no plans have been put together. That includes no plans that involve, oh, we'll move her to NXT. No plans for, oh, we'll put her direct to the main roster, because she is not a WWE talent yet. Ideas have been passed around. Some time in NXT has been suggested. There is a report, however, from Raj Giri that she has already signed a new deal with AEW. Let me tell you what the actual situation is here, and you guys are going to flip out when you realise she's seeing which one will give her the most money before she signs a new deal with either. People in WWE expect to sign Jade Cargill because there is reason to believe that Jade Cargill wants to move to the WWE. It's that simple. So it's one of those where a lot's been made about at the moment, very little. Whatever Jade Cargill wants to do is whatever Jade Cargill will do. To my knowledge, she has not signed a new deal as of yet. However, going forwards, AEW are still looking at cutting some contracts out. They do not want to lose Jade Cargill. They are willing to offer a good amount of money to do so. Cody says, heading out for the day. Keep up the great work, Tom. Thank you, Cody. Appreciate you joining us. Sean says, Becky got NXT's 850k viewers, its highest since April 2020, and her match with Tiffany got over 1 million viewers. Trekipedia says, people saying ABC wants Smackdown are very sceptical in that report, since they already have shows they don't want to move on ABC Thursday and Friday. Michael says, I was confused about that one too. How do people in AEW expect it if she's finishing up her AEW contract? It's a good question, isn't it? People in WWE expect it, I should say. It's a very interesting one because it makes very little sense. KJ says, no offense to you or Meltzer, you're better, but isn't it obvious when Roman will wrestle? The big 4-5 pay-per-views and Saudi. Not necessarily obvious as it were, but certainly it's clear in suggestion. There's a clear suggestion of it. Obviously, it takes a little bit of bravery to say it's definitely going to happen, and it's nice of Dave Meltzer to do that after someone else already had. Then he said, if you were a wrestler, who would you like to wrestle? Jay White. Rizal says, if a talent reaches out to another company while under a contract, does that count as tampering since the talent initiated it? If the company responds, yes, it does. Joey says, do you know when her contract actually expires? Nope, I do not have the source in AEW that I do in WWE. KJ says, I think if WWE wants her and she wants more money, we all know what will happen. Noob says, Mandy Rose starts on OnlyFans? Nope. Joey says, Jade Cargill match with Chris Statlander seemed like a farewell at the end. They may have written her off briefly to work out negotiations. I do briefly want to touch on one person in particular who's nervous about the potential for WWE firing wrestlers. Before I do that, we're on 77 likes, guys. 3 more. 3 more will get us to 80. 80 will be the highest number we've seen on one of these shows in over a year. Over a year. So if you're able to, please do consider hitting that thumbs up. We've also gone up from 5,225 subscribers to 5,227. Thank you very kindly, all of you who have subscribed. For those who don't know, we have broken 5,000 subscribers. We will be talking a little bit more detail about that one later, I promise you. Bailey says the tampering issue is always questionable since they're allegedly independent contractors. The entire situation with independent contractors is very questionable. Vegeta says a contract ended this week reportedly. Reportedly by who, Vegeta? Can you source that for me, please? Just gonna... Adam the Annihilator, what a word. Says, hey Tom, it's Adam, not here to cause trouble. I know I said it before. Just wanted to say I'm sorry, and if there is any possibility I could rejoin the community. Adam, I'm going to ask you a simple question. I'm going to give you a chance here. Tell me why. Why do you want to rejoin this community? Michael says, just throwing my 2 cents in, I thought the title for the show you had on Jade and Mercedes was a bit misleading. I appreciate you saying that, and I will take that under advisement. Obviously, this is something that I do take seriously. When it comes to the titles of shorts, what I will say is that the titles aren't usually visible. So it is just a case of trying to work out how to get the views in. The titles usually, when you're in the shorts feed, they don't come up. So it's just hitting the I'm loading it now and seeing what I've got. Okay, yeah, I use the Mercedes money name a little bit. I get what you're saying there. I will consider retitling it. I appreciate you giving me a heads up on that one. Daniela says, smash the like button if you haven't already. Appreciate that, Daniela. We're up to 79 now. Right. So, Sue's nervous. It's going to be really simple. Really simple on this one. There is one person who's very nervous about the possibility of WWE firing people who are currently working as wrestlers in the WWE, and that is Triple H. Triple H has put together a much larger roster than he inherited, and it means that there can be a lot of rotation and a lot of wrestlers can get a bit of time off because wrestlers who aren't appearing on TV can still work house shows and the like and release someone like a Seth Rollins to relax for a couple of days. Triple H is reportedly quite nervous about something which he doesn't have control over. It is, pardon me, up to Nick Khan and in many ways Vince McMahon what happens next. Keyshawn says, who do you see taking the belt from Seth? I believe it's Priest. Me too. Moxie says, damn Tom, I see you 5,000 subs already. Remember when I was here watching you grind all the way at 300 and I have 5k? Time really flies and things change. You're about to be full-time. I'm not about to be full-time, I promise you that. Right, okay. So at this point, there's a couple of things I want to talk about. And actually, Michael, you give me an in there. One thing I did want to talk about was how shorts and TikTok work. Now, this is something that I'm obviously trying to inform about because of use of it on my own channel, but also if you have channels as well, if you watch shorts, if you watch TikTok, there are ways that you can hugely benefit the creators and ensure that the work that you enjoy comes back. So shorts and TikToks work quite differently to a typical video in that you will always get some views on shorts and on TikTok. You see in shorts after about 5-6 hours a big spike. You see the same on TikTok depending on the content. And there's a real simple reason for this. Shorts and TikToks actually work exactly the same. They start with what they call a seed audience, where they're not actually putting it out to your subscribers. They're not actually putting it out to people who regularly watch your content. What they're doing is putting it out to people who might enjoy it. They're guessing. When you first start creating shorts, and TikTok in fact, it's a complete shot in the dark. It is a complete, okay, those ones. They give you a few views and then they say, okay, of the ones we've grabbed, did they like it? Did they engage? Did they watch for a long period, a long percentage of the short? Did they hit the like button? Did they comment? Etc, etc. If they did, that video will then go out to people who like the same things that seed audience likes. The problem is, that seed audience is random. So the next time it comes around, you'll get a completely different seed audience. Did they like it? Oh, they didn't. Okay, well that one's not going anywhere. You're only getting a few views out of it. This is why it's important that, when we watch shorts, we do stuff like hit like or watch the whole thing and blah, 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 because it does mean that people stick around. And it does mean that YouTube basically like, okay, wrestling fans like this content, which is clearly geared at wrestling fans. So it's difficult to really predict how shorts are going to go. I'm reaching the point now on shorts where I'm beyond the seed audience, where they know what I'm creating because I've made enough shorts. TikTok the same. They know what I'm creating because I've made enough of it. So they can have that moment and say, okay, we know what he's making. Let's just send it out to people. If you're a creator, don't stop. Keep making that content. YouTube will learn what you like. But also, as an aside, if you are a viewer of my shorts, please do remember to hit the like button. Wiggly says, Tom, with the deal gone through in reality, can Endeavour dispense with Triple H and Vince one day? Well, yeah. One day can always come. Spider-Boss says, I like the Mercedes money shorts on TikTok. Moxie says, Tom, I think it's been 3 years since I've joined. I remember when we were speaking about how WWE messed up by having Shayna Baszler lose to Becky in a Final Fantasy stream, I believe. It was indeed a Final Fantasy VII Let's Play. Good old times. Michael says, didn't want someone to come back with, Tom said his match is likely in WWE, when that wasn't really what you meant. I appreciate it. I very much appreciate it. I always appreciate anyone who just comes in and honestly says, this is something that's happening. I'm not really a fan. Thank you very much, Astrid. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the show. Thank you for bringing the raid. How on earth are you doing? And how was your show? Hope you had fun. Spider-Boss says people should give you more credit for the Mercedes money news. You're always accurate with the Mercedes news. I appreciate that, Spider-Boss. I try my best when it comes to everyone. And Mercedes money, I've been very lucky and been able to report a lot of very positive news at time. Anything I can do, Astrid, you know this. You know I'll do anything I can. I'm going to get back into the raids at some point, but unfortunately we're just at an awkward time, unfortunately, sometimes. Gary says, sadly for Triple H, he's made it very easy to cut a bunch of wrestlers who aren't yet at a high level positions by hiring all those people back. I wouldn't necessarily say it's easy, they are still people, but I get what you're saying as to they're not very integral to the show. They're not exactly irreplaceable. Dane says, do you think YouTuber Sean Views Ent is a good source of wrestling news? No, because he isn't a source of wrestling news. Other people are sources of wrestling news and then he reports them. It's not really fair to judge him like that. Ricky says, take care, Tom, buddy, you're awesome. Thank you for the news and all. Love you, buddy. Appreciate that. Martin says, major labor watching back from the start. We'll be on the Smackdown watch along. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We'll see you there. Temple Play says, evening, Tom. How's it going? Grizzly Investor Impact would be cool. And Jade NXT, she needs to improve her in ring work. Ricky says, I love your shorts. Thank you kindly. Blue says, do you have any opinion on AEW's lagging ticket sales? I think they did very, very well in Wembley and in the UK, but that was the exception, not the rule. Spider-Boss says, do you think we could see any debut after the Saraya versus Tony Storm match at AEW Grand Slam? Maybe. I don't know. KJ says, I don't want to mention releases, but is it possible they bring people back for cheaper? That is something I mentioned a little bit earlier as actively happening. Yes. Okay, so that is everything we have for you, apart from one thing. We have reached 5,000 subscribers. The main reason we got there, apart from the fact that we're creating good content, is the use of YouTube advertising. Spent a little bit of money, which I made because of the generosity of the people here in this stream, the super chats and the like, and I was able to get the number up. The question now is, are the views going to go up? Are those people who subscribed going to be watching week in, week out? I expect some of them will and some of them won't. So my expectation is that we will see the subscriber number start to dip again a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised by that, and honestly, I'm expecting it. So, if we do manage to keep that subscriber number going up, I'd be a very, very happy boy. But at this point, the most important thing is not the subscriber number, it's the number of viewers. It's the number of people who are enjoying the content that I'm making. So, I'll be basically leaving that there with the subscriber number now and seeing how it goes. I'm excited to enter this particular chapter and see how it goes so that I can inform everybody here and of course elsewhere what I think works on YouTube, on TikTok, on Twitch, etc. Until then, we will have our Smackdown watch party in just under 2 hours. I hope to see as many of you there as I can. But as is typical tradition, I've been Tom Colohue, you have been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.